time for the Kurtiss Riggs Show, the head coach of the 9-time champion Sioux Falls Storm. The Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute. Together, they are the official healthcare and complete training team of the Sioux Falls Storm. The Kurtiss Riggs Show on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Here's your host of the Kurtiss Riggs Show, the voice of the Storm, the Silver Fox, Rick Rosty.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for allowing us to share a part of your afternoon right here on KWSN. We have the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I'm Rich Rosty, and coming up in the show, we'll be talking to the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. We'll be talking to him about the games around the Indoor Football League, and we'll be talking about that exciting game that was last Saturday night as the Sioux Falls Storm defeated the Spokane Empire. And it was a dandy game. We're going to be talking quite a bit about that during the course of the show this afternoon and about how many exciting games the Storm has had this year. And it's been an amazing ride to be a part of the Sioux Falls Storm. And also on the Kurtiss Riggs Show, we'll be talking to a couple of Storm players. We're going to talk to Carrington Hanna, and a lot of folks know him from his time at the University of Sioux Falls, and then also defensive lineman R.J. Roberts. And he just joined the Sioux Falls Storm a couple of weeks ago, played in the game this past weekend. Then later in the show, after those interviews are completed, after we get done talking with Carrington and also with R.J., we'll be giving away 4 free tickets. And then also when we go off the air, we'll be giving away 4 free tickets, courtesy of Wingstop here in Sioux Falls. And that's going to be for the game coming up this Saturday. This Saturday, the Green Bay Blizzard are going to be in town and it'll be the third matchup between the Storm and Green Bay Blizzard. And that game is at 7 o'clock on Saturday at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. And we'll have a total of 12 tickets that we're going to give away for that ball game. And then also later in the show, we'll be talking to Coach Riggs, and he'll give us a scouting report of the Blizzard for that game coming up on Saturday. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you each week by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and the Storm. They are the Storm official healthcare team, and also by Orthopedic Institute, the official Storm sports medicine providers. Now, Jim Lauria was unable to be with us this afternoon, but he wanted me to talk about coming up this weekend. It's Military Appreciation Night, and that's presented by Dakota Land Auto Glass. Now, retired and active servicemen and women in the military receive free admission to this game on Saturday. Now, all you have to do is present some form of military ID at the Premier Center box office, and you get free admission. Not only with that, any guests, any number of guests of your friends can get in for $5. Ordinarily a $15 ticket, and they can get in for $5 each. And that'll be in our Cyclone section, the Storm Cyclone section, or in the West End Zone. And it just takes one military ID for free admission, and every other guest can come along for $5. Now, thanks to Dakota Land Auto Glass here in Sioux Falls, they've been longtime corporate sponsors of the Storm, and also the Military Appreciation Night. Now, the team is going to raffle off, so this is something really pretty cool. After the game is over, there'll be a special raffle of the game-worn jerseys that the players had on during the course of that game. So you buy the raffle tickets, and after the game, the guys will come out, and they'll actually basically the jersey off their back, game jersey, and you can get that through that raffle and the drawing. And all of the proceeds will go to Operation Homefront, a national program that provides financial assistance for area military personnel to help them ease the burdens and financial strains for those of military families in need. Now, the cost of the jersey raffle is 1 chance for $5, 3 chances for $10, 10 chances for $20, and they will be sold at a special jersey raffle table on the main concourse next to the Storm merchandise tables. Now, those are things that are coming up this weekend as the Sioux Falls Storm going to be taking on the Green Bay Blizzard. Now, when we come back, we'll be talking to the head coach, Kurtiss Riggs, about the games around the IFL and how the playoff picture is looking at this particular time. Then still to come, Carrington Hanna, R.J. Roberts, and then also Coach Riggs is going to have a scouting report about the Green Bay Blizzard. And the big part of our program today, we're going to be talking about that game against the Spokane Empire as the Sioux Falls was victorious in that contest. So, folks, stay tuned. You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
When you think rugged, when you think tough, when you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer trucks. Redefining the road.
You're not just disseminating facts. You're not just telling people what happened, but you're having to deal with the people it happened to.
We want to capture the effect. Why is it so important? Why is this happening?
Everything has an effect and everything has an impact. It's more than just providing headlines. It's the idea of this has happened and this is why you should care.
It's the driver of how we do news, because we want people to know that we care.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roski.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And our opening interview with the coach, Kurtiss Riggs, is brought to you by our great friends over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been longtime Storm sponsors. They have the best bread in town, 17th and Cliff Avenue, just north of Avera McKinnon Hospital. And check it out. They can, whatever you need. Lots of them, just one. Tim will take good care of you. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm good, Rich. How are you?
Well, I tell you what, the sun's shining, no wind. I think we're not in South Dakota today.
You know, I think you got to take the good and the bad in living in South Dakota. So this is definitely one of the good days.
Yeah, we get 3 of them a year, so this is we're enjoying them as much as we can. Well, Coach, it was a busy week around the IFL, and let's run down the games quickly. Cedar Rapids Titans defeated Green Bay, the opponent for the Sioux Falls Storm this weekend, and it was a low-scoring ball game. Cedar Rapids 36 and Green Bay Blizzard only scored 12 points in that contest, and I didn't have a chance to see the game. It was on last Friday, but it just seemed like that was very low output of scoring for Green Bay.
Yeah, it was. In fact, midway through the third quarter, it was 16-6.
Oh my!
Cedar Rapids. Green Bay, they lost that big receiver from Boston College, and he's been very good for them going up and making catches. It seemed to have an effect, but Cedar's a very good defense too. And Jeremiah Price, he just had his way.
Oh my!
He was very dominant and disrupting the Green Bay offense all night long.
Jeremiah Price, of course, former member of the Sioux Falls Storm. In fact, he was an MVP of one of the United Bowls, and now is playing for the Cedar Rapids Titans. And he and Xavier Jackson are leading the league in sacks on the season. So I'm not surprised that he would have that kind of a night. But again, Cedar Rapids defeated Green Bay Blizzard, and Green Bay now 3-8 on the year. Cedar Rapids Titans are 8-4 on the year, and they're still just a game and a half out of first place. The Sioux Falls Storm has played 11 games. They have played 12. So I guess I don't know how you really figure that, but it's about 2-game difference. They're behind the Sioux Falls Storm with still some games to be played. Then Colorado came very close to helping out the Sioux Falls Storm by defeating Wichita Falls Nighthawks, but it didn't quite happen. Wichita Falls victorious 65-61.
Yeah, as you and I tried to kind of follow along on the tracker after the Storm game, I the next day watched that game in its entirety, and when you watched it, it was a lot like our game down in Wichita Falls.
Uh-huh.
But Wichita Falls actually they get up on Colorado by 17 in the first half, and then Colorado comes back. I mean, they just come storming back. and they go up by double digits in the second half.
Oh, really?
And then Wichita Falls comes back and they score a touchdown with 9 seconds left to put them up by 4. And then Wichita Falls just isn't able to get the ball in the end zone with 9 seconds.
Again, Wichita Falls 65, Colorado Crush 61. And the standings right now, Wichita Falls in the United Conference, they are 2 games behind Cedar Rapids with a 6-4 record. And then Colorado falls to 2-9, and they are still only 3 games out of the possibility of the playoffs, because in that intense conference, Nebraska and Billings are tied for second place with 5-6 records. So Colorado has not been eliminated from the playoffs, and Huron O'Neill could just somehow find a way to sneak into the playoffs.
Shaq and I spoke before the game, and I think they very possibly could be the second best team easily in that division, and he felt the same way. And they only have to play them one time. I mean,
Yeah.
we play them twice. They play them one time. They're in their division. It's just one of those weird deals. But unless Nebraska and Jamal Sewell can get healthy, Colorado, I think, is just sitting there thinking we got a shot at this, because Billings and Tri-Cities are so inconsistent. So if we can just get a couple wins, there's a chance. Yeah,
there is, and they have the talent, and they have been close so many times, and this would have been a great win for them if they could have defeated Wichita Falls. It would have actually helped the Sioux Falls Storm somewhat as far as that is concerned. But anyway, great change over there, and all of the things that they're going through, and with the dying or the terminal illness of their owner, and Huron O'Neill doing both the GM work and the coaching work. They have a lot of pressures out there, but they're still competing at a very high level.
Yeah, and he's always been able. He has someone that handles his player personnel stuff, and they've always done a good job of bringing very good talent in to Colorado. It's now, though, the biggest change. His quarterback is getting comfortable now. His quarterback is playing very good, and he's got some very good weapons, between Washington, Kaiser, running the ball very well now. So it would be interesting if you looked at their losses this year, how many came down to the last minute, because they've lost a lot of those. Eventually that will change for them, though.
And the last game that was played during the course of the weekend was the Billings Wolves and Tri-City Fever, and that was up in Kennewick, Washington, and Billings came up with that win 49-44.
Yeah, and that was not a pretty game. But it's 2 teams that have played each other. I think this is the 3rd time. They're both, it's like they've changed their identity so many. Every time I watch them, they're doing something different now, and it's got to be hard to really develop any core or rhythm or when you're constantly changing. But part of it's because of their personnel has changed, especially Billings has changed quite a bit. So Kurtiss is trying to adapt to the personnel he has, and they were able to get a win. It's a big win, and that's what they need is wins right now, because it's a battle between them and Tri-Cities to try to hang on to that 3rd spot.
Talking to Storm Head Coach Kurtiss Riggs on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Coach, interestingly, we're at this particular point of the season, and there's still a lot of football to be played. Like you said, the Storm's going to have to play Iowa twice. They're going to have to play Colorado. And we have to also travel out to Spokane, Washington, to take on another very good team and Spokane. So there's a lot of football left to be played in this season, isn't there?
Well, definitely. And you look at one player can change a roster, right? Iowa just brought back their all-league linebacker that got released from a Canadian team. Last year he was probably second to Jeremiah Price, I thought, as Defensive Player of the Year. And so, one guy can make the biggest difference for any of these teams. Or you get some guys healthy. That year we went 8-8. We go into the playoffs, and you get a guy like Nate Floyd back. I mean, that makes a big difference to your lineup. And so that's what some of these teams are hanging, and they're kind of clinging to that hope that some of these guys will be different for them.
Well, Coach, stay tuned. We'll be coming right back to you, and we'll be talking about that Spokane Empire game last Saturday. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1.
Moms, dads.
What's the smart way to refresh your home? Get inspired by Granite Transformations. See how easy it is to transform your kitchen or bathroom with gorgeous quartz and granite backed by our lifetime warranty. Plus custom cabinet refacing, all without the mess of a traditional renovation. Explore the exciting possibilities at the New Look, New Style celebration happening now at Granite Transformations. Schedule your free in-home design consultation today.
Your body, a remarkable network of bone, tissue, and joints working in perfect harmony. But when injuries occur, that process can be interrupted. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. We work to get you up and moving again, recreating that perfect harmony, whatever that may be for you. Orthopedic Institute, we're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today. Save on your energy bill with the new furnace from Waterbury. Call for your free estimates.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roski.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge, and they are the official Storm away game viewing party hosts. And the next viewing party is on Friday, May 27th, when the Storm travels down to Des Moines, Iowa to take on the Iowa Barnstormers. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, I'd have to say that this year has come down to being probably a season of the most exciting, questionable ending ball games that we have had in many years, isn't it?
I would say so. I mean, for up to this point in the season, it's definitely been more close games than we're accustomed to, but I think it'll make us a better team, too, in the long run.
One thing about it, also as far as this season is concerned, and this is something I've been thinking about for a little while, it's kind of to me, it's been kind of a give and take type of season as far as the offense and defense. There's times that the offense, is really humming on every cylinder, then it gives it away. It takes it, then it kind of gives the ball away. And the defense has been the same way, that they've taken the ball away, but also given up some big plays. So it's been kind of a back and forth, and it's been a process of developing this ball club to get the continuity so that it is consistent over the course of the whole game, isn't it?
It definitely has. And I think as we take steps forward, there's many times where we digress, and you're like, oh, my goodness, we're still making these mistakes. I thought we were past these. I think that's going to be something that is a battle for us all season long. And it's been challenging for our staff and frustrating for a lot of our players at times, but it's also something they're very resilient with. They're very good at picking each other up and battling through these things.
From a coaching standpoint, how much more coaching do you do when things are difficult compared to when things go easy?
Oh, I don't know if I ever say anything easy or difficult, Rich. I think I'm pretty much the same no matter what. I think there's always something you can coach up every play.
Uh-huh.
So I think I keep going. I think Coach Hermanson's the same way, and I think all our staff feels that we can always improve. We can always do something better than what we're doing.
And that goes back also to what I've said many times on this program and also on the air, is that it's a lot of work to make it look easy.
It is. It's funny because, people, I had some people yelling at me, "Come on, coach, run the ball." And I don't think people realize how difficult it is to run the ball in the indoor game. And you look at Spokane. I mean, Dennis Kennedy is an extremely good running back, and he only rushed for 20-some yards. It's something that we practice a great deal, and it's not just something we go out there and we lead the league in rushing because we have fast guys. I mean, it's something that we practice our timing a lot, and so you're definitely right on that one.
One thing about it, when you talk about the running and indoor football, when you in comparison to outdoor football, it would be like outside. You've got the entire. Let's say you're filling something up and using a funnel. You got a big opening. That's like the opening on outdoor football. But when you're playing indoor football, it's like trying to run down through that funnel. You have a very small window to work with. And with everything moving so fast, it closes much faster, too. And that's what makes running so much more difficult. So when positive running does happen, that's what makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, there's zero room for dancing. I mean, you're not going to be able to get someone one-on-one and dance and then make them look silly. It's got to be on the move, full speed, making a cut and going. And I thought BJ did a very good job in this last game doing that.
Trevor Kennedy for the night, he had 15 carries for a total of 36 yards. He had 6 yards in losses. So he had a net of 30 yards. One of the leading rushers in the league with 25 touchdowns, only had 1 touchdown in the game against the Sioux Falls Storm. Now, this week, as far as the highlights are concerned, I had a really difficult time because the games this year, Coach, have been so exciting. There's so many different things. There's so many possible highlights. And the ones that I chose maybe are just a little bit different, but they kind of tell a story, too. And here's our first highlight.
Lorenzo Brown will be in shotgun formation this time. Holly will be split to the right side. Deep right is going to be Corey Williams. Tatum left. Williams through the box. He gets the handoff. No, it's going to be Lorenzo Brown. He's going to keep it. Breaks through a tackle. Sidesteps another one at the 18. Left side carry to the 15. And he takes it all the way down to the 12-yard line. A first down for the Sioux Falls Storm after the gain of 18.
And I ran that highlight because just to show a different side. We're always kind of talking about Lorenzo and his passing and things like that, but he still is also a very gifted runner, isn't he?
Very good, and he did an excellent job this game of really taking what the defense gives, and that's something that one of those things that might look easy, but Lorenzo has a great deal of pressure on him. If people only knew how difficult of a read and how fast he has to make it. It's very challenging. I know I wouldn't want to do it. One, I wouldn't be able to ever run, so I know which way I would go. But he does a great job with it, and he really was on point Saturday night with our run game.
Here's our next highlight.
Back to pass, Lorenzo Brown launches it for the left corner of the end zone. Caleb Holly goes up high, two-hand grab, goes through the door. He hangs on. Yes, it's a touchdown. Holy help me, Hannah, what some concentration. And Caleb Holly is hurt. They're calling for medical right now as Caleb Holly went hard into that wall. The door goes open, and he is laying down. They called in Ryan Brink. Oh, my.
Tell us about that play and then also how things turned out for Caleb Holly after that.
Well, it was a great throw and an even better catch. The thing that was just so scary is it was on the downward part that Caleb hit the wall, and he hit it right where the door was. And I don't know if Spokane had it closed or if they just, a lot of teams, they can shut the door and then they won't latch it. So, they'll pop open easy. But with the force these two guys came into it, it could have just popped it open too. And they both went right into where the door was, popped it open, and then, Caleb and the defensive player both fell right into that door jam. And I think it was more scary. Caleb, don't get me wrong, he's pretty sore from that. But he wasn't sure if he was still put together when he flew through that door. And once Brink was able to get him up and kind of get his senses back, he was okay, and he came back in and caught another long touchdown for us later in the game.
Actually, for the night, he had 4 touchdown receptions, and in 6 games, Caleb Holly has had 16 receiving touchdowns for the Sioux Falls Storm. Now, on our next highlight, I'm going to set that up just a little bit. The defense had just held on downs, and then this happens.
Is stopped. 39 seconds to play till halftime. Storm by a point, 29-28. Storm working on the defense holding on down. Tatum and Holly split to the right side, split out far right. Williams now two in motion, right slot. Back to pass, fires downfield, caught by Tatum. He goes into the end zone, touchdown. Touchdown, Sioux Falls Storm, Mike Tatum.
And with that touchdown, the Sioux Falls Storm goes up by 8. But that previous series, the Sioux Falls Storm defense had held. But I went through my notes, and there was like 6 penalties in that particular series, back and forth. There's lots of penalties. And I always put a P, and then I mark where the new line of scrimmage is. And after I looked at my stat sheet, I thought, well, there's P all over it.
I knew there was some witty comment coming up here. In fact, I was trying to think of one myself, but very good. Yeah, that was nice work, Rich. That was a big score for us. I mean, we were able to flip it. I mean, they had the ball first, and now we were able to take the lead and put the pressure on them. And Lorenzo, again, did a great job of just taking what the defense gives, getting us down the field, and then when he has the chance to go for the touchdown, he took it. And you almost thought, geez, we scored too fast, giving them 35 seconds left to come back out.
Here's our next highlight.
9 seconds on the game clock. Donald has Kennedy to his left. Fakes the toss to Kennedy. Throws end zone. Knocked up in the air. Intercepted by Tyler Knight. Tyler Knight's going to bring it out. He gets hit at the goal line. Gets past that. Slips over another tackle at the 10. And moves it out to the 12-yard line as the clock expires. As an interception by Tyler Knight. And for Tyler Knight, that's his first pick of the year.
And Tyler Knight showed some nifty running after he made that interception.
If that's what you want to call it. I think he and Elijah both, we either are going to have them do some individual time with our running backs, or we're going to say, don't you dare ever run. But Tyler Knight played an outstanding game. I mean, he looked like the Tyler Knight of old and was all over the field.
This next highlight is a mistake on my part. There's no doubt it's a mistake on my part, but it will be explained by Coach Riggs after we get done. Here's the highlight.
The umpire trying to capitalize on the turnover. Trailing the Storm by 8. Going to send Hayes left. Wide out's going to be Samuel Charles. Kennedy will be in the slot left. Sims also deep on the left. Shotgun formation. Dutto waiting for the snap. There it is. Looking left all the way. Cox fires end zone. Picked off again. Threw it right into the hands of Setzer, and Setzer returns it out to the 10-yard line. The Storm defense comes up with a third interception of the contest. And the third time a drive for the Spokane Empire has been thwarted in the end zone. But Setzer with his 4th interception of the year.
Well, actually, that wasn't the highlight I was thinking of, because this one I think was all right, but the next one will be that highlight that Coach will explain about. But, yeah, 3 times, Coach, your defense stopped a drive with an interception in the end zone. I can't remember that ever happening before.
Yeah, and you know, it was such a strange, you alluded to this after the game, how, the first half is just so back and forth, scoring, and then third quarter come out and no points. But that's how, if you look back when we won a lot of those big playoff games, it's usually our defense at some point takes over. And, we came out and struggled offensively a little bit that third quarter, and they had that red zone defense dialed up, and Spokane had no answer.
Talking to Storm head coach Kurtiss Riggs on the Kurtiss Riggs Show, and you're listening to it on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1. And here is that next highlight.
Now, that's the first time I've seen that, where they have the linebacker right on the line of scrimmage with the defense. I thought he had to be back 5 yards, and the play continued. Because that was like a red dog, where the linebacker just goes up right there and stands between the two defensive linemen and rushes the play.
And tell us why that is okay to do it that way.
Well, on 4th down, you can line up at the sticks. If it's 3 yards or less, you can line up wherever it is for a first down. And So that linebacker, it was 4th and a yard, and he was right up in there, and he's a big guy, so it really looks imposing. But it was something we were ready for, and the guys did a great job blocking and got a big first down for us there.
This is a program that you get educated, entertained, everything else, and that was one of our
get a few jokes too.
You bet, yeah, things like that. But just trying to educate the folks, because I've only been doing this for 16 years, and I hadn't figured that part of this game out yet.
It's one of those things that you don't ever, when it's 4th and 3 and they're 3 yards back, you think, well, he's kind of close, but you don't really pay much attention to it. But when he's right there on the ball, hey, this isn't right here. And yeah, it looks quite a bit different than the normal play setting.
Now, at the very end of the game, Spokane gambled twice, big time. They gambled on going for 2 to cut the lead to 6, and then they gambled again with an onside kick that they were successfully completed in, and actually Spokane was in a position to go ahead in the game. There was 1 minute left to go on the clock. They had the ball at about their own 20-yard line, and they were trailing only by 6 points, and then this happened.
Folks, we have 1 minute left to go on the clock. The Empire have gambled 2 times in a row, have won both times in a row. Now there's 1 minute left to go on the clock. They have the ball first down and 10 at their own 15-yard line after recovering the onside kick. Back to pass, Dowdell throws it upfield, tipped in there, intercepted by Tyler Knight, and he's still on the feet, returning at the 20 to the 15-yard line as Tyler Knight gets his second pick of the contest.
And for the night, the Sioux Falls Storm had 4 interceptions, and that was Tyler Knight's first 2 interceptions of the season, but your defense came up and stopped the drive, and then after that, the Storm got a 30-yard touchdown from Mike Tatum, and that finished up the scoring, but what a great defensive stand at the end.
Yeah, it was, because their offense had top fire too. Just as we had the fourth quarter, theirs did too, and we really didn't have an answer for Carl Sims. I mean, he did a great job. I mean, that's one of the better games I've seen Carl play in quite some time, and he came out to play and was making some big plays, some big catches, and so it was one of those ones where you kind of just take that deep breath and let it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think it just capped off a great night, though, for Tyler Knight.
Coach, after that game, you wind up with a 10-1 record, and you have a full couple game lead over Cedar Rapids, which is not totally secure because we have a lot of season left. But when you talked to your team after the game, what did you tell them about the importance of how they played that game and the victory that they secured against Spokane?
Well, I mean, it's a great win. It's a great win at home against a great opponent. I think they're a very good team, and it helps us, but it doesn't secure anything for us.
Mm-hmm.
If we both end up with only 1 loss when we do play each other, I don't know if I would assume the next tiebreaker is probably point differential. So, it still comes down to, I mean, you got to play a great game still. But it puts us in position, and that's where we want to be, and that's what we've told the guys. You've worked so hard to get yourself in a position where you control things. Don't let it slip, and that was really our point of emphasis, is don't lose focus now as you've kind of gone through, this murderer's row of games here, but you cannot look past these teams you have left to play.
And we'll be talking about the next opponent, a team with a losing record, but has created really tough games for the Sioux Falls Storm this year in the Green Bay Blizzard. And they're going to be coming into town this coming Saturday after having a tough loss down or wherever they played that, but they played it against the Cedar Rapids Titans. And we'll be talking about that game, Coach, when we finish up the Kurtiss Riggs Show at the bottom of the hour.
All right, I look forward to it, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And when we come back, we'll visit with one of the Storm players, Carrington Hanna, a former player with the University of Sioux Falls Cougars. But you're listening to this segment of the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge. The next viewing party is on Friday, May 27th, and the Storm travels down to Des Moines to take on the Iowa Barnstormers. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
When people
Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl.
People that I work with are family. We get more time with the patients to deliver that personalized care.
I know that our patients are satisfied and happy with their outcomes.
And I've had more than one patient say to me, you know, I can really feel that you guys like being here and taking care of patients. And that's wonderful to hear, because that's the truth.
We give the best care in the world.
And just a better overall experience for the patient.
And that's why I chose to come work here at Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital.
You're listening to The Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roski.
And welcome back to The Kurtiss Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. And after our interview, we'll be taking the third caller at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to this Saturday's game when the Storm take on the Green Bay Blizzard at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. And joining us via the fan line, former Cougar with the University of Sioux Falls, now member of the Sioux Falls Storm, Carrington Hanna. Carrington, welcome to the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How's it for you to be coming back to Sioux Falls after playing your collegiate football here at USF?
Well, it's definitely a surreal experience. The first time I came out here to Sioux Falls, being a new guy around town, kind of learned a lot from, the people here in Sioux Falls, and kind of got brought in and got treated like family right away, and definitely a place that has made me a better man, and I'm glad to be back.
Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Also, that's where Donnie Hilsenroth grew up, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Donnie was quite a player with the Sioux Falls Storm, also a former member of the University of Sioux Falls, and his family were firemen there in Cleveland. And now Donnie, of course, a fireman here with Sioux Falls. But Carrington, tell us a little bit about how did you wind up coming from Cleveland, Ohio, to play for the Cougars?
Well, I started off at a different school, California University of Pennsylvania, a Division II school. Wasn't really playing much. Sat the bench my first year. Played sparingly on special teams my second year as a redshirt freshman. And then pretty much just woke up one day, kind of prayed about my situation because I wanted to play ball. And, with having my faith, God told me that I should leave, and I left and ended up here at USF. And, that was after that. I started all 3 years up here, and my career kind of changed around.
Well, you came here as which, a quarterback or a wide receiver?
I came here as I'll grab the water, I'll play whatever, but I ended up starting at quarterback first, so that was my first position here.
Okay, but then you became a very prolific wide receiver for the Cougars in those great years that you were there.
Correct.
Now, you played for Kalen DeBoer, didn't you?
No, I actually played. The first year was with Jed Stuger.
Oh, it was? Okay.
When I first he had just got hired.
Okay.
So it was during that Division II transition year when they were transitioning from NAIA to Division II.
Okay, I wasn't sure about the total time frame, but so that was when Jed just got to Sioux Falls. Well, tell us a little bit about your time here. Now, I noticed from your bio that you were a pre-med major at that particular time. Is that something that you've pursued, or have you gone a different direction?
Well, yeah, I do have my biology degree right now. I'm still trying to pursue my football career, and what a better place to do it, and a place that sparked my career off in the first place, and coming here to Sioux Falls. So that's one of the reasons why I came back to this lovely city to play for the Storm, a team that I had watched being here while I was in college. I do have plans to eventually go to medical school, but as I've been told by many of my loved ones, you can always go to school and you can always work. There's only so many years or so much amount of time to chase your dreams, and this is honestly what living is about going after everything that you want in life, as long as you're doing it the right way.
Talking to Carrington Hanna of the Sioux Falls Storm. And Carrington, you talked about your faith, and that's something that's been very apparent with you publicly, hasn't it?
Yes, that's one thing that I always, promise when I talk to him is he's number one in my life. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I do make mistakes, but at the end of the day, anytime that I get to glorify him and minimize anything that I've done, positive or negative, it's always going to be a better situation. So I definitely give him all the glory.
So coming to indoor football, you had not played any indoor football before you came to Sioux Falls. You'd seen it because you'd been to maybe some games while you were in college here. But what has been the transition like for you? What has it been like for you transitioning to playing within the walls?
Well, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's been a tough transition. I think the biggest thing is just learning the plays. As far as, being inside, it's actually almost like, to me, playing basketball. I love playing basketball. So now you get to play football, but you have the basketball aspect of being able to, interact with the fans, whether it's the little kids or whether it's the other team's fans, maybe talking a little bit of trash to you. So it's been something exciting, something that being outside looking in, I was like, I'm not sure if I would ever, play indoor football. But now that I am, it's definitely something that I'm glad I made the decision and got the opportunity to do.
One thing about it, a lot of players talk about the difference in the speed of the game of indoor football. Can tell us what your feelings are about the speed of the game for you?
Well, I think that anytime you're playing at a professional level, it's definitely going to speed up, whether you are outside or inside. As far as playing indoor football, I think that I'm starting to adjust pretty well, to the speed of the game and hopefully get in a lot more here in the next games coming up. But it's definitely an adrenaline rush because you have a lot of men out there running down on a small field. So it definitely gives you some chances to make some plays and things like that.
Well, one thing about it, Carrington, is if you could have had to be in motion, advancing to the line of scrimmage when you were playing in college, I can't imagine how many more opportunities to catch the football that you would have had.
No, definitely. And that's something I definitely want to get the opportunity to do here and, just show my talents off and definitely help out the team in any way I can.
Well, Carrington, it's great to have you on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. It's even better to have you back in Sioux Falls. I know you've got a lot of fans here, and I'm sure they welcomed you very warmly last Saturday out to the Denny Sanford Premier Center.
Yeah, they definitely have. And like I said, Sioux Falls is a place that's always, treated me like family. And now that I have become family and playing in two of the teams in town is definitely a great experience that I'm grateful for.
Well, I'll tell you what, thanks again for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
All right, thank you.
Carrington Hanna. And I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do a Holy Help Me Hannah with him. I'm going to have to figure that out before we get he has a big score or something like that. But after we go off the air to take a break, we'll take your third caller at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to the game coming up on Saturday against the Green Bay Blizzard. And that's brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. It's more than a meal, it's a flavor experience. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1, KWSN.
The Storm Lightning Girls work hard. Weeks are filled with training, rehearsal.
Inspired by Granite Transformations. See how easy it is to transform your kitchen with gorgeous quartz and granite, plus custom cabinet refacing. Schedule your free in-home design consultation today.
When you think rugged, when you think tough, when you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer trucks. Redefining the road.
Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roski.
We're back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And right now we're having a little bit of difficulty getting in touch with R.J. Roberts. R.J., defensive lineman with the Sioux Falls Storm, and just joined the Sioux Falls Storm recently. And we're just going to do some double checking on the number. And I'll give that to John so that he can try to get in touch with R.J. But this segment of the Kurtiss Riggs Show is brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. And they're more than a meal. It's a flavor experience. It's just off of Minnesota and 26, just south of Walgreens. And you can stop by, pick things up to take with you, or you can eat it right there. Just Wingstop, and they have the really great wings. And if you have a big event, they can take care of you as far as that's concerned, too. So check it out at Wingstop of Sioux Falls. And also, coming up this weekend, it is Military Appreciation Night. Military Appreciation Night at the Denny Sanford Premier Center, sponsored by Dakota Land Auto Glass, and any retired and active serviceman or woman, and if they have military ID, that they will get free admission to this Saturday's game. Now, you must present that military ID at the Premier box office, Premier Center box office, but you get your ticket for $5, or check that, you get in free, and anybody with you, doesn't matter how many are with you, anybody with you gets a ticket for $5 each. And that ordinarily sells for $15 in the Cyclone section or the West End Zone. But just one military ID takes care of free admission for that individual, and then any guest with them can get in for just $5. Now, thanks to Dakota Land Auto Glass here in Sioux Falls, they've been longtime corporate sponsors of the Storm and also of the Military Appreciation Night. And there's also going to be a very special raffle after the game. The game-worn jerseys that the players have are going to be raffled off afterwards, and all of the proceeds of that will benefit Operation Homefront. Now, the national program, this is a national program that provides financial assistance for area military personnel to help them ease the burdens and financial strains for those military families that are in need. Now, the cost of the jersey raffle is one chance for $5, 3 chances for $10, or 10 chances for $20. And they'll be sold at a special jersey raffle table on the main concourse next to the Storm merchandise table. Now, that is really cool that you can get one of these game warden jerseys. And if if memory serves me right, these are going to be very special jerseys relative for the Military Appreciation Night. And again, that's brought to you by Dakota Land Auto Glass here in Sioux Falls. And now we've been able to get in touch with R.J. Roberts. R.J., how you doing, buddy?
How you doing, man?
Good. Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up and go to college?
I grew up in Enterprise, Alabama, and I went to school at Troy University.
Okay. Where is Troy University for us folks here in the Midwest that don't know?
Troy University is like 25 to 30 minutes away from Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever heard of that, or it's an hour and a half away from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. What division is that, Troy University?
It's Division I.
Okay.
Sun Belt Conference.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that it was in the Sun Belt Conference. See, that's a part of, we up here in South Dakota, we don't know a lot of the things that go on down there. And there's probably a fairly good chance, RJ, that you didn't know where Sioux Falls, South Dakota was either when you heard about it the first time.
I sure didn't, boss. I did not know. But as far as I've seen now, I think it's a pretty good place to be at.
Well, tell us about, had you played any other football after college before coming to the Sioux Falls Storm?
Yes, sir, I did. I played in the Canadian League, Arena 1, and I also did a little bit of the Hudson Valley Fort FXFL.
Oh, really?
In New York.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And always a defensive lineman?
Defensive lineman and also linebacker.
Okay, but you would be a really big linebacker. How big are you?
I'm around 250. 250, 248, 250, like 6'4".
Okay.
Something like that, boss.
That is a good-sized linebacker, but also if you're going to be on the defensive line, having that size gives you probably more speed to work with against those offensive linemen, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
What's it like for you to be going up against Kyle Bryant or Mania Smith during practices with the Sioux Falls Storm?
Man, it's good going against them. Like I said, we work real good together. Like, we communicate with each other and try to get as much out of practice as we can every day.
Well, you have coming into the Sioux Falls Storm, and you've only been here a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
But you've come with experience. So, as far as playing indoor football, that's nothing new for you, is it?
No, sir.
But the thing about it is, when you play in the indoor football league, there are still some rules that are a little bit different as far as the defensive line play. But bottom line, it's going to be one-on-one with that same guy all night long, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as a defensive lineman, we always talk about the offensive lineman figuring out tells by, how the defensive lineman puts pressure on his hand or how he positions his feet or how he angles his body. Do you as a defensive lineman also find that there are tells that are given by the offensive lineman that gives you an edge as far as your rush and your run protection?
Yes, sir. Like I said, with the offensive lineman, I try to really watch what they're doing and know the down and distance and just take all the context clues that I can just so I can be able to make the play. Or if it's second and long, I would like to be able to get a good pass rush and good get off. But other than that, I mean, it's just all about what the down and distance is and what down it is.
Talking to Storm defensive lineman R.J. Roberts, who has just been with the Sioux Falls Storm this past couple weeks. What is your best rush or best part of your defensive play? What do you do the best in your position?
I like speed. I like speed rushing, right now, I like speed the bull, speed the dip and rip, and sometimes, I mean, it just depends. Sometimes I may go spin move. I mean, it's just moves that I try to work on at practice, and try to get myself ready for the game so I can kind of like have a game plan on my pass rush moves.
Well, one of the things about it, when you play against guys like Mania Smith, if you're going to try to get around him, you may not get to the ball by the time it's already gone because it's a long trip around some of these big bodies these offensive linemen have, don't they? Isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is, man. But like I said, yeah, you're right though. Mania Smith, that's a great dude, man. He's a good, like, when we practice, we communicate. I ask him how he wants me to work him. He asks me how he wants to work me. So I mean, we all have a good communication at practice and during the game also. So.
Well, there's a guy that was on the big stage with the New York Giants, and he learned from the best out there. When you see him walking, you don't think that he could possibly, make it up a flight of stairs, and then you watch him play, and you wonder if you could even keep up with him.
Yeah, man. The thing about Mania is if you don't put his hands down, man, he's gonna grab you now. It's gonna be over with. So you best, have your hands active or something like that, or you're gonna have some trouble. But I mean, he's a good guy. Like I said, Kyle's a good guy too. Claude Davis, that's one of the guys I play with at Tampa Bay Storm. But other than that, man, it's been a good experience here in Sioux Falls, man. I thank the Lord for giving me an opportunity, and through all I've been through, to end up here in Sioux Falls and being able to continue to do what I love, man.
Well, one thing about it, RJ, it's great to have you here. We've talked just a bit ago, Carrington here, Hannah, about his faith, and then you brought it up also as your faith is very strong, and it's very important to you in your life.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, man. Yes, sir. You're right.
Well, RG, thanks for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll talk to you on Saturday at the ball game.
Okay, man. Thanks, and you have a blessed night, man.
R.J. Roberts, defensive lineman with the Sioux Falls Storm, and Coach Riggs has really assembled quite a group of individuals and great players and great men, and that is what is really cool about being a part of the Sioux Falls Storm. Now, coming up after we go to break, we'll take your third caller at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets courtesy of Wingstop here in Sioux Falls, and you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.
Your body, a remarkable network of bone, tissue, and joints working in perfect harmony. But when injuries occur, that process can be interrupted. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. We work to get you up and moving again, recreating that perfect harmony, whatever that may be for you. Orthopedic Institute, we're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full experience entertainment center. Like us on Facebook and visit our website to learn more about the full experience at Eastway Bowl.
When you think rugged, when you think tough, when you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer trucks. Redefining the road.
just as they know us very well, I mean, we do too. We know what they're doing. This is kind of a different situation, though, because they've changed their personnel so much.
Yeah.
Each time. I mean, even from when they came here and played us, they still have quite a few changes. They have a new middle linebacker. They had 2 new DBs. They had 2 new D linemen. I mean, it's just constant change. And I think, he's finding guys that want to buy into his system, and then he's trying to upgrade as he finds those.
From the last time the Storm played, and like I said, that was a tight ball game, 66-59. 7 new players, the way I counted it, as far as roster change from my spotter board from the previous game till now. So 7 new players, and they, had a tough game that they lost to Cedar Rapids, and they lost 36-12. How tough is it to coordinate new players and to develop a chemistry when you make these many changes?
Well, yeah, it could be very difficult. I mean, I know for us, it's extremely tough, and I think it's tougher on the offensive side than the defensive side. And the new additions they have defensively, against Cedar, I thought they played very well. I mean, their new middle linebacker, I mean, he just flies all over the field. And he's someone we knew of and actually looked at bringing in here, and we felt like we were pretty good at linebacker, so we didn't. But I think offensively is where it really gets difficult because you're constantly trying to coach those guys as the game's going on.
Was it Brandon Westfall? Is that who they brought in as their linebacker?
No, Brandon played against us the last
Okay.
time we were here. Now they have a kid named Carl Mickelson from Fresno State.
Oh, there we go, yes.
Samoan kid that, he really flies around the field and plays at a very high level, high energy. But I think you can also use that against him, too.
He had 7.5 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss in that one game that he has played. 6-footer, 235 pounds, like you said, out of Fresno State University. When you talk about the Green Bay Blizzard, you got to talk about their quarterback, Matt Barrett. He's out of University of Wisconsin Whitewater, 6'2", 205-pounder, has thrown 44 touchdown passes this season.
That's a lot. Yeah, I mean, I think they are very dependent on him making plays, and I bet a lot of those are ones where he's gotten out of the pocket and then makes the throw as he's out of the pocket, and that's where he hurt us some last time, and we've got to make sure we keep him in there, and then I think the other place they hurt us was just their receivers going up making plays over our defensive backs.
Their running back, Kurtiss Spence out of Sacred Heart University, had some time in the NFL with the Redskins and the Jaguars. He has 8 rushing touchdowns. He's played all 11 games, 334 yards rushing, but you can tell that they're somewhat slanted more towards pass than they are towards run, or have they changed that?
No, they're still the same, but you could tell they want to run the ball. They just can't ever have the confidence to continue to do it. And even against us, they came out in that wishbone set. They had a 49-yard touchdown run, and then they never did it again. And I would expect that they'll come in wanting to run the ball, and then hopefully we can take that away quickly.
When you talk about the defense of Green Bay Blizzard, and we're talking to Storm head coach Kurtiss Riggs, they give up quite a few points. They give up 57 points a contest, and they've made various changes defensively also. But what problems do you feel that the Blizzard does present for the Storm this Saturday?
Well, between Mickelson, the linebacker, and then number 21, I think it's Moreau. Not sure. Yeah, how you pronounce his name, but I mean those two, and then number 14 also. I think is it
Perkins.
Perry? What?
DeMarcus Perkins.
Yeah, Perkins. Those 3 guys are very, very physical. I mean, all 3 of them, they are going to come at you, and they are going to try to hit you like it's the last time they get to hit somebody, and that's every time. And when you have players like that, you can use that against them, but sometimes they catch you, and if they catch you and it's a situation where you're caught off guard by it, then it's going to be a bad situation for you. It's going to create a turnover most likely, and we've got to stay away from those types of situations.
Perkins played at Florida International, and Matt Morrow played at University of West Virginia. Bottom line, Coach, I've been kind of a bottom line guy this year. Been talking about that pretty much all season. What are the bottom line keys for this game on Saturday?
Well, I think we need to get them down early and just keep the pressure on them. I think when you have a team that loses a lot, they're looking for something to give them some type of confidence, and so we want to try to step on them early and then just keep our foot down on them the whole game and not really give them any chance to have any hope.
Well, that sounds like a great game plan, Coach, and we'll talk to you Saturday about it before the game.
All right. Thank you, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And when we go off the air, we'll be coming back we'll take this break, come right back and have a wrap-up. Then after we go off the air of the show, then we will take your third caller at 336-1230. But you've been listening to this segment brought to you by Good Sense, Deli Fresh Subs, longtime store sponsors, and the best bread in town. We'll be back. This is Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1, KWSN.
Rugged. When you think tough. When you think big. Think of the best transportation solutions, mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer trucks. Redefining the road.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, presented by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN. Back to your host, Rich Roski.
And welcome back. This is our final segment of the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And after we go off the air, we'll take the third caller at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to this Saturday's game versus the Green Bay Blizzard. That's at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. And if you can't get to the game, the ball game will be on our sister station this week and for the rest of the season. All Storm broadcasts will be on KELO News Talk 1320 and FM 107.9, again, for the rest of the season. However, the Kurtiss Riggs Show will stay right here on KWSN. Well, I tell you what, this has been a fun show. Coach Riggs, always great to talk to him. Very open, always good information, good stuff that he talks about. I always appreciate everything as far as our communication is concerned. And then also for the pregame and postgame interviews. He's always been just such a professional when it comes to those interviews. Want to thank our guests for being a part of the show tonight. Carrington Hanna and also R.J. Roberts. Don't forget, it's Military Appreciation at the Storm games coming up this Saturday. And special things going on there. Raffle going on for the uniforms, the jerseys of the Sioux Falls Storm players. So bring some extra cash along. You might want to buy some raffle tickets. Want to thank John Michaels, our producer and engineer here at the KWSN studio. But most of all, I want to thank you, the listening audience, for making us a part of your day. And you've been listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on Sioux Falls Sports Radio, AM 1230 and FM 98.1 KWSN.